did that to my parents. Okay, hold on. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and it's 1:33 Central. So I'll go ahead and kick this off. And again, for the couple people who've joined real fast, again, go to infovity.thefangage.com, create your account, select an autograph for this event, or upload one of your own. And Kerri will be signing those as we go. And so I just want to share a little bit about today's event, and then I'll introduce you to today's speakers. But so today's event is about becoming a cloud champion. And this event was created really out of conversations that we've had with a variety of leaders within different aspects and industries across SMB and large organizations, where digital transformation has been this ongoing conversation, and it was this big thing we were all going to do in the future. And then the pandemic hit, and everybody had to go home, and security and engagement and experience and everything became important. So all of a sudden, the need to move to the cloud, to have a single centralized experience, became first for top of the list, and it was go time. There was no more talking, planning, etc. And so one of the things that we've been excited to see is that our partner Oracle has really risen to the top and proven they are a leader in the cloud space. And so Jeff Stiles is here today. He's GVP of Solution Marketing. And he is going to share his story. He's an industry veteran for sure, has worked at multiple places, not just Oracle, and kind of understands why Oracle is going to dominate this market again across industries, especially, but how each business leader too can succeed using Oracle Cloud. Excuse me, I have allergies. And then Arun Yerramilli is on Team Infovity, and he is going to share a little about once you've made the commitment and bought Oracle Cloud, to get full ROI on it, you need a coach or a team that has the winning playbook. And so no matter your industry or again, your line of business, Infovity has a team in the background of experts who know what your challenges are, know what you need to overcome, and know what it'll take to help you kind of shine within your company. Again, our goal is to make you look good, and hopefully be the cloud champion at your company as well. And then we have 1996 gold medalist Kerri Strug on the call today. She was on Team USA. I think we're all pretty familiar with her story, but she's going to tell it from her perspective, which I think is super cool. And just help answer some questions, again, like inspire all of us to kind of, when you're under pressure, when you're under the gun, when all eyes are on you, like how do you face that no matter the pressure or the pain, to nail it, to land it, to outshine everybody. So, and then she'll sign those photographs. So again, go to the FanGage website and upload those photos, answer a few questions, and then we'll be done for the day. So with that, take it away, Jeff.
You're mute, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. So first I want to say it's really not about Oracle dominating. It's about us helping our customers to succeed. And I got my first taste of cloud as it relates to enterprise software back in 2007. Yes, I'm old enough to have seen this movie multiple times in terms of generational computing changes. And, it's really interesting to me because I was at SAP at the time, another large enterprise software company, and we introduced into the mid-market a cloud solution that really opened my mind to the possibilities. Again, as a student of the market, I've watched enterprise software over time as it's purchased, implemented, as technical debt tends to build up over time as people customize it, and then it has to be patched and maintained over time. It becomes, a lot of effort in running business systems. And what I observed back in 2007, and what I've really come to realize is incredibly important today, is that the notion of being able to configure these systems and to build extensions to them to support unique needs in a way that also supports the delivery of ongoing innovation. We now deliver innovations to our customers every 90 days. And so what you end up having, compare and contrast, on-premises systems, tend to be a depreciating asset that get more complex over time. And, it's interesting, enterprise software used to be focused on cost savings and cycle time savings, and really looking at the end-to-end process in terms of just taking time or cost out of the process. And cost and reduction of cost is an important thing. However, what's happening today, and it's especially true because of the pandemic, is these systems need to support continuous innovation. Digital transformation means being able to respond and deliver innovation in product and service and business model. And frankly, we're all having to do that on a completely different cycle time than we did pre-pandemic. So the fact that we're able to deliver innovation to our customers that they can take up at their own pace leads to the cloud infrastructure being an appreciating asset, and it will only get better over time. And what we've ended up hearing time and time again from our customers is what that means to them is that they can move much more quickly. They can compete more effectively. They can take advantage of market opportunities and not just cut cost out of the business, but really focus on value creation and opportunity. And so when I came back to Oracle about 3 years ago, all these things were kind of in the back of my mind. And I really did my homework looking at the depth of what Oracle provides. And I just want to comment on two things. One is the notion of infrastructure or platform, and then applications. I've been an applications guy all my career, and the breadth of what Oracle does in the cloud is it's certainly the broadest, deepest on the planet. That's great. But what people may not necessarily realize is it's built on a set of cloud infrastructure that is phenomenally capable. And in fact, many of our customers don't realize that they just got a huge upgrade. We just upgraded to what's called Gen 2 of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure with the autonomous database, with new integration capabilities. And frankly, what our customers ended up with was faster performing, even more secure applications, and nobody knew it. That's the beauty of the cloud model. We do the work to support the provisioning of the system, to apply the updates, and then customers can focus on running their business, not their business applications. So to wrap it, I would say, as you're looking at your own businesses and what you need to be able to compete effectively, cloud infrastructure and cloud applications will allow you not only to do the things that you need to do to run the business, but they're going to help you innovate much more quickly. And doing that with a unified view of all the information that you have, with end-to-end process capabilities and planning and decision making, and those transactions as a whole part of the solution. That's why we feel really strongly about our ability to make our customers those cloud champions. So with that, I'll stop on my section, say thank you for having me, and happily turn it over to Arun.
Thank you, Jeff. I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely, the right reasons why people should look at cloud. And hello, everyone out there. We appreciate you spending time with us today. My name is Arun Yerramilli, and I'm here to share some insights for a successful cloud implementation, and perhaps draw a few parallels between our line of work, which is cloud implementations, and sports. Something that all of us at some point have been involved with. Of course, minus the sweat and the chalk, and minus the roar, the applause that you see when we stick the landing, right? And I know you're all eager to connect with the magnificent Kerri Strug here, who's won us the gold, and have your images autographed. So I promise to keep this very short and precise, and I'll share a very few tidbits from my experience. As we see in most sports, right, and professional athletes have the skill, the athleticism, and the desire to get to the top. But they at the same time need a coach, someone who can guide them, push the limits, right, and to ultimately achieve the goal, right, the win what they desire, right. And similarly, Oracle product, like Jeff was saying, is all of that. It's definitely the best ERP product out there. It's the most complete ERP product out there. But you need a coach who has the experience of guiding customers to successful cloud implementations, and they get the best out of that application. Infovity, with 150 cloud implementations under its belt, will not only guide customers in their journey, but will from time to time challenge the customers to adopt the best practices for truly successful cloud implementations. I think it's a lot of times customers tend to redo what they've already done, and that's where a partner like Infovity can, get them to look outside the box and get them a true success of their cloud implementations. Now, the second thing that I also see is, just like in sports, and like I said, the athletes have the skill, talent, they have the experienced coach by their side, but time and again they run into challenges and obstacles. They get hurt sometimes, or they have, they hit roadblocks. But true champions always tend to rise above those challenges, right? And so I think I want to share an example of, and it's the same thing with in our line of work also, right? Even with all the experience, we always run into challenges and roadblocks in our implementations. Very recently, Infovity embarked on one of the largest implementations of ERP with CPQ, CX for a client. And through the design and build phases, we recognized there was a disconnect between the client's requirements and what the solution offered by Oracle at that point of time. And we obviously had to find a bridge. So our team collaborated with the development team at Oracle, worked very closely with them to come up with an enhancement, and worked with the customer to tweak the business process. And those two together helped us bridge the gap. The key there is, whenever you hit roadblocks, right, you got to collaborate, you got to think outside the box, have some flexibility to have a successful implementation. And the way you can collaborate is when you have trust between the partners, whether it's sports, where the athlete trusts the coach or the coach trusts the athlete to get to what they want, or with in our line of work, where the customer will trust the partner and the partner trusts the customer and Oracle equally, right? And that helps us to collaborate and be flexible in our goal to achieve what we want. Finally, the one thing that I know, I think this is probably true with most things in life, is if you want to achieve success, first you have to define what success looks like for you. What is your true goal? What is your true calling, and things like that, right? So to me, it is equally important in implementation that you clearly define what success looks for an implementation. And that's what will keep you on the rails and get you to your destination. Many a time, if you don't have those parameters for success, you lose sight and you dive into a lot of things that are not critical for the company or the organization in achieving their goals. So define those goals for your implementation projects. That way you can stay true to what you set target on. With that, I think I'll hand it over to Kerri to share her secrets for success and give you guys an opportunity to get your questions answered. But before I do that, I do want to say, Kerri, when you won the gold, I was not even a US citizen. I was back in India. So I watched the video last week when I first was told about this event with my family. And I'd say that, even though I was not there at that moment, it still stirred a lot of emotion and pride, right? So I want to thank you for not only, inspiring a generation of new gymnasts and athletes out there, but inspiring our family. And, when my kids watched, I could see the emotion in their eyes and wanting to achieve something as great as you did. So thanks again for that. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Kerri.
Well, thank you very much, Arun. I really appreciate your kindness. For me, I can't believe it's been 25 years since the vault, which I feel like people, that's what they associate me with. And I'm okay with that because it was obviously a very proud moment for me. A lot of people don't realize that in the gymnastics community for a long time, I was kind of the girl who had talent, but wasn't mentally tough, couldn't put it together when it counted most. And as you alluded, Arun, in some of your comments just a few moments ago, it really is a team effort. You need that coach to push you, to give you that muscle memory. So sometimes the athletes, if you're not totally mentally tough at that moment, just go into automatic pilot so you can do what you've practiced so many times. So I was fortunate that there was an adrenaline rush, and that I was so well prepared. As you stated, I had the goal of becoming an Olympic champion from the time I was 6 years old, and I watched Mary Lou Retton at the 1984 Summer Games. And obviously, like any other athlete, and all these Olympians we're going to see in the next 2 weeks coming up in Tokyo, everybody has setbacks. Everybody, is going to have those moments where they're questioning what they're doing and why, no matter how talented or how hard you work. That's just part of life. And I think it's those that really persevere and who are willing to work through those challenges, in sport, in your profession, in your personal life. Those are the people that ultimately succeed, not only externally for everybody to see, but I think from within, you feel so good about yourself, that self-satisfaction of not giving up and to keep going for it. And it makes it that much sweeter at the end of the day if you've had a lot of, curveballs, hardships, setbacks, whatever you want to call it. So for me, I was fortunate that it all worked out. I did injure the ankle, but luckily, I believe all those years of training, when I was tired or when, my wrist or arm or stomach or whatever it may have been hurt, and having my coach say, no, like you can go further. As humans, oftentimes I think we believe we know where our limits are, but until we're pushed a little bit more, then you realize, okay, wow, I can really go that much further. And again, I think for a lot of us, oftentimes failure is the prelude to one of oftentimes people's greatest successes. So, it makes you strive that much harder. If you come close to winning, but don't, you want to go for that next Olympic Games, or you almost hit your sales mark, but didn't quite make it, somebody beat you out. So oftentimes, at the beginning, you're upset. I know for me, I'd get extremely emotional and being a teenager cry, but then it would make me that much hungrier to go after the next competition. And like you said so many times, Arun, I think sports really parallel life in so many ways. And you learn a lot of these core values of how to be successful in terms of managing your time, in terms of working with your teammates, raising that bar. Like you said, setting goals, not letting go of them until you attain them. The perseverance and dedication aspect is of utmost importance for an athlete, as well as to be successful in anything. So I hope all of you on this call will kind of think about those athletes and all that they've gone through prior to their amazing moment on the Olympic stage, because really what you're going to see on your television screen in Tokyo is like the end of the book. The athletes have really been writing those pages for years or decades to get to the place where we're going to watch them and cheer them on. And they all have pretty amazing stories and passions for their sport, which is really cool.
I'm going to jump in here real quick. I want to remind everybody that you can put your questions in Q&A or chat, either or. I wanted to ask, before we go into the session with Kerri, because I know that's going to kind of take over, Arun, real quick, like what are some distractions that sometimes deter teams and the companies we work with from hitting that challenge first? Like, what are some of the distractions sometimes that we need to be aware of and to keep from going down that rabbit hole so that we don't move away from our goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll use a lot of things from my experience when I was implementing Oracle solutions. Things like there is a reason why people go on a cloud journey or implement a new ERP system. It is to achieve certain business goals, or the changing environment, changing business conditions and things like that. Where a lot of customers get stuck is trying, instead of looking at what they want to achieve, what that end goal is, they look at replicating what they already have. Which is a very, very typical pitfall. And it's good. And sometimes it is, it gives us comfort that, hey, the new system looks like the old system. So it makes us easy. But the purpose is not for us to be comfortable, but for us to be able to achieve something larger, right? And be able to contribute towards that larger goal. And so I think that is usually one of the common pitfalls. And it creates a lot of anxiety. It creates a lot of effort, unrequired effort in the process. So definitely encourage customers to look at some of the best practice, look at what others have done, right? And take a page from that, and use Infovity or use your partner to help you get over those pitfalls.
Thank you. And then Kerri, I guess, everybody asked, we were talking about this before the call, everybody asked, like, what were you thinking in that moment? And, what was it like? And But I think, like you were saying, sometimes that moment on the page is kind of the end, but clearly for you, it is not. So what are some of the things that you've taken from that moment? And do you feel like you've overcome in your life, whether it's just being a mom or in your business or career overall, because you realized I took all the tools, I was coachable, I followed Mary Lou Retton, again, her best practices probably, and I hit that. And then after that, what are the moments that you overcame from that?
Well, I think the vault really made me realize that hard work really truly does pay off, and that if you really believe in yourself and your dreams and you constantly go after it, you're going to be successful in some manner. Maybe not exactly as you had hoped. I never thought I was going to land on one foot and then be carried to the award ceremony with no pants on in front of the world. So, for me, I thought I was going to be just like Mary Lou Retton up there in the stands, jumping up and down and grinning from side to side. So my dream came true, but kind of differently than I had anticipated all those years. And so that's really what I try and remind myself daily as well, is it's so important to have those goals for yourself, small and large, because you got to meet those small ones on a daily basis to stay motivated and to get to those larger ones. And I think in terms of being dedicated to something you believe in or that you are passionate about is critical in life. It gives you that internal energy to get up every day and go after something, as well as, hard work. Again, I think it doesn't matter how amazing you are if you're not going to put in the time and the effort. Everybody has got to do that, because there's a lot of amazing athletes, a lot of amazing business, people, a lot of smart people out there. But it's those that are going to really make it happen and put in the time, energy, and effort, and work with others, that's going to rise to the top and stay there.
Yep. And I think this next, we got a quick question too from the audience. So I think it'll kind of parlay into that. Hi, Kerri. I'm a coach for my high performing team. How did your coach keep you from hating them for making them grind out that muscle memory work that's no fun? And then go ahead and answer that. And then there's a follow-up question.
I know as of late, there's been some different opinions in terms of how far we should push our youth. For me, I had a love-hate relationship with my coach. I, on a daily basis, did not care for him. I mean, he made me work when I didn't want to. When I was a bit tired, it didn't matter. This is what we had to do today, and you will do it. But when I took a step back, I really loved him for making me the best that I could possibly be, because I knew I wasn't going to do that day in and day out. Although I was, intrinsically motivated, I had these goals. It's hard for a youngster, or I think any of us at any age, to day in and day out push yourself past your comfort zone. But it would take some reflecting when I was young, and maybe some, calling my parents and complaining and things like that. And then realizing, no, I'm here for a reason. I choose to be here. I know the end goal. We're on the same page. And I'm very grateful that he's going to make me the best gymnast that I can be. But it's not always easy with youngsters. I think right now, immediate gratification, particularly over this last year in the pandemic, is what, you know, a lot of us have been wanting. But again, that self-satisfaction and attaining your goals after the long haul, I think, is so much more fulfilling. And it's important that we, you know, teach our youth and particularly young athletes that, you know, you got to put in the time. And I know you're not always going to be comfortable or happy, but it's for your best interest. You know,
Right.
You know, the coach athlete relationship is very important. And, you know, the athlete has got to believe and trust in their coach in order for it to be successful.
And to be resilient, you know, that's the one thing with kids right now. It's, yep, this isn't fun, but it's going to build up some resiliency, you know, and that's going to be way better in the long run. And then the other question was, when you hit your goals of Olympic glory, how did you decide what to do next?
You know, it's really difficult for a lot of athletes, including myself. Once you finally realize your dream, you're ecstatic that you attained it, but it's scary starting anew because you're in your comfort zone, in that training regime, what you eat, how you sleep, you know, where you're located, the people you're around, everything is revolved around that goal. And it's scary to step out of it. You're used to being at the, you know, height of your game, and you don't want to be just average. So it's definitely not fun, I'll be honest with you. And you have to rework your goals and, you know, kind of reassess what you want to do with your life. For me, it took a while, and I did not have the background of a lot of my peers. I decided to go on to college, and, you know, I didn't take all those AP classes, but what I learned through my athletics is if I worked harder than everybody else, I could be successful. I didn't have maybe, you know, the skill set that they had learned through all those years of high school. But if I read everything not once, but twice, and I went to office hours and, you know, really studied hard, I could be successful. And I think it's similar today in my profession. You know, things may not come quite as easily, but the skills I learned through my athletics, I still, you know, am really putting into my day-to-day life, and it's benefiting me.
Agreed. And then and I guess you sort of answered this question. The next one was, what lessons did you carry forward to grow, and what did you need to learn? I guess I would add on to that. How are you coaching others to kind of follow that same path, right? Like, put in the hard work. You know, if you don't have those talents or the same background as everybody else or whatever, how do you get them to understand? Like, they're like, oh, but you're an Olympian, so, you know, you don't get it. Like, I'm just XYZ, but it's like, no, we all have that. So how do you get people, how do you coach others to do that?
Well, I think it's important that we all be our best selves, right? I think the gymnast right now who's on top of the world, you know, the greatest of all time, Simone Biles, said it perfectly in terms of someone asked, well, why are you doing this spectacular vault? You don't have to, you're going to win anyways. And she said, because I can, you know, because I should, because I can be better. And I think ultimately that's more important than anything else, that we all become our best selves, because we all have different talents, and we all, you know, have a different level of adversity, and our circumstances change. But if we all are our best selves, that's the best we can do, and we're all going to be self-satisfied, and it's going to be a pretty amazing place. And I think, you know, for several athletes, particularly Olympians that we see time and time again, that's exactly what they're doing on a daily basis. It's not about beating your competitor, it's about bettering yourself. And that's when we really see, I think, true greatness.
Yep. Agreed. Jeff, do you have any questions? Because I feel like I'm hogging the stage here a little bit.
No, I just wanted to comment that I think there are so interesting leadership parallels, Kerri, from what you describe. I lead a team of people, and I've been fortunate to do that for quite some time. And we don't all have the same skills, and we don't all have the same goals or expectations. But collectively, with perseverance, with a clear understanding of what you want to accomplish, and with putting in the work, right? My job as a coach is to help them to get better and to help the team get better. And I think everything that you just said, for anybody that manages a team or anybody that's planning a project, these are really important pieces of true north to keep, because I think they apply in many aspects of life, personal life, work life, as well as sports.
Yep. And I would say too, Jeff, we're actually going through our own Eloqua implementation internally. We're adding Oracle Eloqua. And we were kind of laughing how earlier it was, there's always a bump you're going to hit, right? But we had planned in advance. We had assigned who was going to lead what piece. You're in charge of data cleanse. You're going to be in charge of all the web forms. You're going to be in charge of, and we're all kind of, on a big project like that, sometimes you can sit and wait and think what's going to happen. But we're getting to the end of it. And one of the challenges we hit wasn't even something that would have, it's not on anybody's radar. It was actually outside of even the scope. So we felt prepared, we planned, and I just think it's so important, because you can't just be like, oh, there's this tool and we'll implement it and it'll magically make our lives easier, or Infovity is going to magically turn this on and it's going to work. Like, we all have to kind of make the plan, work the plan, and hit that kind of final goal. So
yeah, and these projects are a team sport for sure. Clarity of role, clarity of purpose for sure. But also, one thing I heard you say kind of between the lines is the clarity of communications. Being able to talk openly, freely, and identify those things that weren't in the plan and work them together is always going to be a needed part of a successful project.
Exactly. Well, we want to move into the signature part. And again, she can continue to take any questions, but the signature piece as well. And just know too that, if you don't see her signing yours, those are going to be signed by her on her trusty iPad there, and be emailed to the team, or you are a part of our team now, I hope. The other part is, get in touch with Infovity, get in touch with Jeff. We're here to help you moving forward. Our goal again is to make this not so overwhelming. Sometimes we talk a lot to people who think maybe Oracle is out of reach. It's not a tool that our team, it's too big for our team. It's, we're just an SMB. Nope, that's not the truth at all. And there's some cool ways that you can take advantage of such an amazing platform. So with that,
Hey, Camille, one comment on that. I think part of, I didn't talk about this, but one of the things that customers do with the cloud is they have much more, compact modular deployments. Typically, you can do big bang implementation for sure, and some customers do, but the choice is theirs. And I think that's an important part of the conversation that we need to have with customers is, where do I start? What's the most important need? And where do I go from there, rather than how do I plan this multi-year big bang kind of project as a default?
Exactly. Yeah, because that's where I think it's overwhelming. It can be done piece by piece. For sure. Let's see. And then I think there was one more. I know Brian's in the background with this amazing jacket, but there's one I thought there was here. Brian should go live to show off that jacket. It is all-star for sure. Oh, here he comes. There he is, Captain America.
Team. Yeah, thank you all for coming. So my wife had a question, Kerri. She wants to know if you can still do a backflip.
Oh, goodness. I have not tried in at least a decade. I really don't want to go to the emergency room right now. So as I tell my children, because they ask me all the time, I like to keep my feet on the ground, but we can pull out those, various DVDs whenever you'd like, or, you know, get on YouTube or whatever. So yeah, I have not tried a backflip. I think that quick twitch muscle, people don't realize how quickly that goes. Gymnasts do a lot of calisthenics and certain exercises to keep that, because your mind thinks it knows that what it can do, but if that body ratio and those muscles aren't moving as quick, you could kind of get into trouble. So yeah, no backflips lately. I've done some cartwheels and back walkovers for my daughter, but I limited at that.
That's great. Thank you. Please don't try on our account.
Yeah, no, not today.
And then we were kind of talking about earlier, what's your, outside of gymnastics, what's your favorite sport at the Olympics?
You know, it's hard to pick one. I'm really excited for some of these new sports that are entering this year, like the skateboarding. And, you know, for a while, the softball left, it's coming back. I heard there's surfing, and I got to be honest with you, my son right now, as we speak, is in surf camp. So I think we'll try and tune into that, just because it would be cool to say, look, if you work really hard, maybe one day, you know, this will be you. But I really like the traditional sports. Swimming, obviously, Team USA is always extremely strong, has a lot of rising stars, as well as those that are, you know, coming back again for their second, third time. And then athletics, track and field, I think is always exciting since Team USA does well. But I like some of those, you know, smaller sports that we're not as familiar with. Sometimes it's just really cool to watch fencing or, you know, weightlifting or things like that that don't usually get a lot of media time, and to learn how the athletes got into it and how they train, because it's a bit different than some of these other sports that we see on a regular basis, like basketball and baseball, things like that, soccer. Obviously, you know, I love those big ones too, but I feel like the Olympics are special in the sense sometimes to just see those stories about the athletes that have persevered and maybe don't take that traditional route, and fell into a sport because, you know, they didn't succeed in something more traditional. But yeah, I'm excited to turn on the TV and use it as an educational experience for my kids to talk about all the things that you guys discussed today, in terms of, you know, working really hard. These athletes didn't just get there because they're lucky. They've been training long and hard, and it's not just the training, you know, they're doing the calisthenics, they're doing the stretching, they're getting physical therapy, they're eating healthy, they're making sure they're hydrated. And also today, I think, you know, we're talking a lot about mental health. So a lot of them are working with a sports psychologist. And, you know, I think it's important to share with our youth that that's okay. Exactly.
Completely. Some of us on this call are working with career coaches. And I think, again, I think that's super important, again, for the kids to see it's not magic, and it's not that there's something magical. It's hard work, and it's knowing where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses, and backfilling those, no matter what, if it's physical or mental. So that's amazing. And then I guess the last question I have, and then we can, again, like either open it up or close out for the day. So young girls and sports, and then those girls becoming CEOs and leaders, and you know, the people that are go-to within their company. How important do you think athletics plays in that role for women, to get that confidence in the future?
Well, I think there have been several studies over the last decade or so in terms of, you know, young girls that are really involved in athletics. It helps with their self-confidence, their self-esteem. It's not just the physical aspect of things, in terms of that you're being healthy and you're, you know, getting that adrenaline boost, and your cardiovascular exercise is in play, and that you're moving your muscles. I think today for our youth, it is so critical that they get moving and get some exercise just for health reasons. But then there's a whole nother layer in terms of those I think, core character traits that are important for being successful. And if you adapt them when you're young and you do feel good about yourself, you get a taste of that, and then you can implement it into other areas. So I know there's been a lot of young women that have, you know, been successful in sports and then have transferred it over into their careers. And I'm hopeful that will continue. We've all seen there's been a lot of change as of late with gender equity and things like that. And I'm just hopeful we'll continue to move in a positive direction. A lot of great women athletes out there that are representing not just themselves and their teams, but a lot of young girls, you know, who should have that I can do it too attitude, and know that, you know, no, you can be a great ice hockey player, or you can be a kicker for the football team. Things that, to be honest, when I was a youngster, did not seem feasible even, you know. And now I think for my daughter, I think differently. It's, if you want to try it, you go, girl, you know, good for you, go for it. And it's going to make, you know, our world a better place, within various professions and also just health wise.
Exactly. Well, I think, thank you so much for that, because I think that is super important, and I'm glad we kind of talked on that today too. So we so appreciate your time, especially as we're kind of looking at the opening ceremonies coming up. And we know that when we're watching gymnastics, I think that kicks off the 24th, if I'm correct. They'll flash back to that moment and we'll all be like, we got some coaching from her. We got to ask her some questions and get inspired. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. I just encourage you all again, you know, not everybody can be in, obviously this year can be in Tokyo or be an Olympian, but everybody can take part, get behind your favorite athlete or just Team USA or maybe some other country, you know, or some different athlete. And I think, you know, let that light from within ignite. The Olympics oftentimes really get all of us off the couch and, you know, moving and excited about not only what we see on our TV screen, but for ourselves. It can really help us reassess. And as was spoken about here today, you know, create some new goals, and then try and attain them.
Exactly.
Kerri, you're an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So again, if you can follow Infovity on LinkedIn, follow Oracle, reach out to us. We'll be following up with you with the recording of today, your autographs as well. And other than that, we'll hopefully catch y'all all on the flip side. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.